The 2014 offseason has seen the San Francisco 49ers take care of a lot of business. They signed Colin Kaepernick to a 6-year contract extension that'll keep him in town through 2020, and then they also signed Joe Staley to a 2-year extension that'll keep him in town through 2019. Unfortunately, they still have a lot of work left ahead of them for free agents heading into the 2015 offseason. The most notable, of course, is Michael Crabtree. He signed a 6-year contract back in 2009, and he's finally coming up on the end of that. Obviously, it's hard to forget that he did hold out that first year, and it took a while for him to get on the field, but once he did reach the field, he proved worth that contract and worth a contract extension. In his first game with the 49ers, he had 5 receptions for 56 yards, and in an abbreviated rookie season, he finished with 48 receptions for over 600 yards. The only 49ers rookies to exceed those numbers are Jerry Rice and Gene Washington. And really, over the last 3 years, since Jim Harbaugh came to town, we've really seen Michael Crabtree come into his own. There's really 3 major areas where we've seen that he is arguably as good as anybody in the league. That comes with his hands and his concentration. We've seen it with his ability to run after the catch. And of course, we've seen it with his very physical run blocking. I wanted to take a look at several examples of each of these areas that I've talked about, because we've seen it over and over the course of the last 3 years in particular, where Crabtree has shown, whether it be the hands, the blocking, the running, that he can do a little bit of everything. We'll start with the hands and the concentration that I was mentioning. The first game is this last year's divisional round matchup against the Carolina Panthers. We pick it up in the second quarter with about 1:51 left in the quarter. We see Crabtree with the 20-yard reception. You see him kind of come down the field. He goes up, catches the ball, and as he's coming down, you see the Carolina defender has an arm around him, getting really physical, and yet Crabtree's able to kind of bring it down, and even though he goes to the ground in a really physical manner, he's able to hold on to the ball, and that's something that we really see quite frequently. Another example was the week before against Green Bay in the wild card game. With about 4:06 left in the fourth quarter, we see him make a great third down conversion. Colin Kaepernick had to scramble around a little bit. We see him come up, we see him throw it to Crabtree 20 yards down the field, where Crabtree had found a little hole in the zone. He kind of has to go up and back to reach for it, but he grabs it, comes down hard, still holds on to the ball. The final example of Crabtree's hands and really his ability to high point the ball comes against one of his favorite cornerbacks, Patrick Peterson. We're looking at this game back in week 8 of 2012, the Arizona Cardinals. It's first quarter, 1:58 to go, and we see Alex Smith in this case throwing to Crabtree. It was Alex Smith's second to last start with the 49ers. We see a little 3-yard touchdown pass to Crabtree, and what I really like about this play is we see Crabtree get physical with Peterson right off the start, and I feel like when he got his hands on him and kind of shook him a little bit, that distracted Peterson enough that by the time he was able to turn, you already see Crabtree coming down with the ball. Obviously, Peterson wants the pass interference call, but not going to get it. It was an excellent show of the hands where Crabtree gets the hands on him, but gets him off without having to jerk him around too much on that. Now I kind of want to look at his ability to run after the catch, which actually is one of my favorite traits of Michael Crabtree. And really, this is a chance to show off one of my favorite plays. And this is actually kind of an old one. This is week 2, 2012 against the Detroit Lions. It was actually kind of a big play. It was in the fourth quarter. 49ers had kind of slowed down a little. The Lions were trying to make a comeback. It was 6:41 left in the fourth quarter. It was 3rd and 14, and we see Crabtree run a little crossing route. He catches the ball about 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. So you figure, okay, that'll be it. They'll have to punt. That'll be the end of it. However, we see him crossing over, and then we see him kind of veering around, following his block, cutting up. He picks up 13 more yards, converts the 3rd and 14. That was actually the second third down he had converted in that game of notable distance. And that kind of thing really just impresses me so much, because even though the play looks like it might be dead, he's got the vision, he's got the ability to maneuver through, and it doesn't look any better than that. Well, okay, one play that may look better that I know 49ers fans love, and that's this next one, week 7, 2012 against the Seattle Seahawks. Crabtree is being defended by good friend Richard Sherman. There's about 2:26 left in the first quarter. We see the quick pass to Crabtree. Sherman was playing off on the play, and as he comes back up to try and tackle Crabtree, he goes down to the legs, tries to take him down. It slows Crabtree, who has to go down and reach down and touch the ground to kind of maintain his balance. But that's where we see Crabtree's incredible sense of balance. Maybe not quite Frank Gore level balance, but it's definitely up there. He adjusts, and he actually picks up another 12 yards after that initial hit from Richard Sherman. Gets another first down. Things are rolling along. Really, the final thing I wanted to show was his run blocking. Now, obviously, run blocking isn't quite as sexy as catching the big pass, making the scoring the touchdown, anything like that. But Michael Crabtree joining up with Anquan Bolden, they do so much in the run blocking game. This first example comes from 2011. It's week 14 against the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, this is pre-Anquan Boldin, but it shows you kind of what we really like to see from the physicality of the run blocking. In this case, Frank Gore busted off a 37-yard touchdown run, and really the end of it, for probably about the last 10 to 15 yards, was sprung by Michael Crabtree's block. We see Crabtree coming down the field, we see Gore cutting towards him, and Crabtree actually sees it. He looks up, he sees that Gore is coming at him, and so Crabtree kind of looks forward. He sees safety Rashad Johnson sort of coming towards Gore, and we see Crabtree absolutely pop him. We see him knock him over. Gore is able to cut back up, scores, touchdown 49ers. This next example is from the 2014 NFC title game against the Seahawks. In this case, Colin Kaepernick ran for 22 yards on the play. We see the handoff, we see the play action and the bootleg to the left. And as he's coming to the left, we see Crabtree drive his defender a solid 12 yards back. And again, he's not, he's got to avoid the hole. He can't, you don't want to be grabbing the inside, otherwise you can get called for holding. But he pushes him back, he keeps his hands on him, does it perfectly. And we actually saw a similar example the year before in 2013 in the divisional round against the Green Bay Packers. In that case, it was a Gore 26-yard gain. And in this one, we see Crabtree quickly get his hands on his defender at around the Green Bay 48, and he proceeds to drive and spin the defender 15 yards back to the 33. Frank Gore gets a big 26-yard gain, first down. 49ers put that game away, and again, it was a perfect example of just textbook blocking. Now, we know that Michael Crabtree can catch the ball, he can block, he can run, he can do all those kinds of things. But really, one reason that you really want to see Crabtree extended is the fact that he and Colin Kaepernick have worked so well together. Now, obviously, people will point to the Super Bowl and to the NFC title game, to the final play, and say, well, he's too dependent on him, look what happened there. But I just got to think, when, as talented as Crabtree is, yes, there is a certain reliance on him, but I think the fact that they've added in more receivers, the fact that they've added in Stevie Johnson, last year they added Anquan Boldin, they've got Quentin Patton, it's going to be able to spread it out a little bit more. But nonetheless, we've seen the value of Crabtree just from last year when he was out with the torn Achilles. And Colin Kaepernick knows that Michael Crabtree is an important weapon. When Colin Kaepernick signed his contract extension, there was a lot of talk about how he took less guaranteed money. And in this case, it sets up a situation where if the 49ers were to re-sign Michael Crabtree, they'd have a little bit of that space that they can use for it. And in this case, I really think it is necessary. I think Cap recognizes it. They both know that they can win a Super Bowl together. It only makes sense.